All right, for the next assignment here, we're going to start taking a look at oil pastels. I sent home a variety of sort of colors. If you need more, unfortunately, you'll have to kind of work with the blending principles of the ones I gave you, or look to invest. When dealing with oil pastels, of course, the higher the price, generally the better the pigment, but don't jump too much into financial debt with them until you kind of get a feel for them and see if you really like them. They have their ups and downs. They're not my favorite, but they're definitely fun to play with, and they do definitely make a mess. Now, the principles with the idea of oil pastels is that you want to make sure that you are giving yourself a nice, clean, consistent pressure and applying. Just like when we did our acrylic paintings, you want to kind of block in your color, and you always want to be using multiple colors to give some depth to your drawing by blending different colors together. So I'm just going to go ahead and creating a consistent pressure, adding a second one, making sure that there is an overlap, and I can add some little circles in there just so it's not like painting a fence. And then just for something entirely different, I'm going to grab a brighter pink, and I'll bring it on over. Okay, when blending, always make sure that your particular colors are overlapping, and then you want to go ahead and you can take your finger and you can blend them in. Now, when doing any kind of oil pastel, you are going to be doing multiple coats. Now you can see how this doesn't blend that well. One of the things that I've been taught works best is to put a base overlay. Get a nice big white coat on whatever you're particularly drawing. Okay, and note to self, make sure that you're cleaning your pastel off. You can see that there's something reminiscent from a previous. Okay, and then I can go in here and I can do the exact same thing that I just did, and it's a little greasier, and it just lays down just a little bit nicer. Like your acrylic painting, again, now you see how it blends so much nicer. With your acrylic painting, you are always going to be doing layers. Same thing as the oil pastels. Oil pastels are kind of like an oil painting, but one that actually dries, or is a little more solidified and easier to work with. We go back in and we can go ahead and add more colors and overlap them so that you make sure that you're not just painting the exact same thing over and over again. You gotta add a new color in here. Okay. And then blending them around. So you've got a couple of sheets available to you in your little kit. The first one being a white mixed media. Okay, you can go ahead and use that one if you choose, or you can use the pastel page, which is a dark gray-ish textured drawing. It's much bigger. So depending on how you find this, or how comfortable you are with the oil pastels, or how ambitious you are with your particular still life that you're going to be creating, you can choose to use one of those papers for this particular assignment. What you're essentially going to be doing is I'd like you to choose 3 objects, a fruit and something glass, something metal. There should be something that is reflective or that is a shinier surface, and then a fruit or a flower or something that's just sitting around the house. And I want you to compile them so that they're actually all interacting with each other. Place it in front of you, and that's going to be your subject matter for this particular piece. If possible, place it near a window setting or someplace where you're going to get some good shadows, and so you can get some good variation in color. And when you're doing your shadows, just a note with the oil pastels is that your blacks and your darker colors can overtake your painting fairly quickly, or your drawing fairly quickly. Make sure that you're blending accordingly. To make sure that you're cleaning off your fingers if you're using your fingers, so that you're not smearing it absolutely everywhere all over your assignment. And try and take a look at the actual colors that are being used. There's a lot of times where our shadows are not black, they're blues or purples or greens, depending on how the hue actually sort of responds to the light. The last thing that we'll take a look at is I sent home some baby oil, which you can use at the very, very final stages with a brush just to help thin the paint and blend it even further for finer details. Now, a note with that baby oil is as soon as you add it, it is going to thin things down that you can actually get right down to your page. So you want to use it on a very minimal basis. It should be for the sort of the finer details at the very, very end. Don't use very much, and then make sure that it's something where you're not going to be wanting to re-add another layer over top, because it's actually quite difficult to start putting more once you've got that sort of greasy or thinned out layer going on. This is only 2 coats, not even. I would want to get at least 3 or 4 layers prior to even using that baby oil, because it just, you can see it's already right down to the page and not giving me a very good look at all. Okay, so I'm going to take you through just doing a singular pair in a time frame, sort of a quick lapse. I'll let you get started in coming up with some subject matter and some ideas, get some sketches in your sketchbook prior to starting, and then decide whether you're not going to do a larger scale drawing or a smaller version. And you can get started on that as soon as you are done your gargoyle.